Hi everyone, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo. I am the film critic for the website Quipster.net. You can find all of my written work at that website anytime. Quipster.net is where to go, fast approaching 4,000 written reviews. Quipster.net, Quipster.net. Also, I want to remind you that you can also find more of my podcasting reviews on the In Session Film podcast. So go to InSessionFilm.com for all of the details and check out the extra film portion. I've been a co-host there for a while now, so if you want to hear some of my takes on other reviews that you're not getting here, you can check that one out, InSessionFilm.com. Today I'm going to be looking at The Founder. It's a drama, docudrama really, PG-13 rated because of brief, strong language. It runs an hour and 55 minutes. Michael Keaton is the main star. Supporting roles go to Nick Offerman, John Carroll Lynch, Laura Dern, Linda Cardellini, and Patrick Wilson. John Lee Hancock is the director, and the screenplay is by Robert D. Siegel. The Founder is set primarily in the 1950s, and there we find Ray Kroc. We see him at first being the struggling traveling salesman who's trying to peddle this electric milkshake mixer that promises to spark sales by increasing the supply at restaurants because it shortens the wait time involved with having to churn out one milkshake at a time. However, sales aren't going well, so Kroc still perseveres, doing what he can do, but he does receive a big order for several of these milkshake mixers one day from somebody he hasn't even spoken to directly. So Kroc senses an opportunity for more business, and so he wants to meet this mysterious buyer, and he travels out to the source of the order out in San Bernardino, California, where he meets Dick and Mac McDonald, who are the owners of a bustling burger joint called, of course, McDonald's. McDonald's prides itself on offering a great product at a low price, served hot and fast in this assembly line type process that recalls the innovation of Henry Ford. When Kroc sees the setup, he can't help but think that McDonald's couldn't make more money hand over fist, really, by actually franchising these kinds of restaurants all across the state and across the country, coast to coast. And so he basically enters into an agreement with the McDonald's to do just that. I won't say more about where that goes because obviously we kind of know where it goes in one fashion, but I don't want to ruin a lot of the main plot details after that for those people who aren't in the know as far as how McDonald's got its start. I do want to say here, obviously, as you heard me read the cast list, there's a solid acting ensemble. It graces The Founder. Keaton is as charismatic and engaging as you would expect in the lead role, playing this ambitious salesman who's been rattled by a few too many doors slammed to the face to not try to milk this golden goose for all it's worth when he does eventually find it. As directed by John Lee Hancock, who also directed such films as Saving Mr. Banks as well as Disney's The Rookie, The Founder may lack for, I guess, what you would call artistic flourishes, but it does tell its story with a good deal of well-paced energy. Hancock knows that the personalities involved are probably the more interesting attraction for this Ray Kroc story, as well as our inherent interest in seeing how the most ubiquitous franchise restaurant in the world sprung up and took over into nearly every community in the country, and indeed in many parts of the world, in a relatively short amount of time. Now, as much as I enjoyed The Founder, I will say there are a few things I wish could have been better. For instance, there's one thing that I do feel that Hancock and screenwriter Robert D. Siegel could have done, which is this transition between Kroc from the early hour, where he plays this sympathetic and down-and-out salesman, really an underdog, to eventually becoming the top dog, the scheming, unscrupulous company owner. Now, you can make a case that greed and power changes a person, but I think that the way it's presented here, the story arc feels a little too abbreviated to the point where Kroc's sudden turn from having us root for him as this no-name sales guy to eventually recoiling in, just within a couple of scenes as he becomes this very bullying real estate con man, especially as he applies the screws to the two brothers who care the deepest about McDonald's as a company. It seems pretty jarring the way it's presented here. Kroc even has the chutzpah to call his new company the McDonald's Corporation and to call himself the founder of it, even though he was neither, recalling the film's ironic title, I guess, whereas recent efforts like Nightcrawler and The Big Short and The Wolf of Wall Street and The Social Network and a bunch of other films kind of similar to this one provide similar stories about those who would do anything for money or power or fame or women or all of the above. The central characters in those films were also deeply flawed and emotionally secure, as well as amoral to a large extent when it came to money. Kroc here is just an average guy with a dream until he finds success, and then all of a sudden he becomes kind of a lecherous figure within the course of the movie without a lot of justification for the reasons why, other than the fact that he wants money. Although some viewers might feel that the film seems to work secondarily as a commercial for McDonald's, it does tell the story, warts and all, and there are no McDonaldland characters or some of those modern-day slogans that make an appearance at all within the film, relying instead on older designs that are allowed by fair use. Nevertheless, it is hard to not want to partake after watching so many characters rapturously take a bite of a burger hot off the grill. You probably will end up going to McDonald's right afterward, which I guess is why McDonald's is not making that big of a stink as far as how their portrayal goes. The Founder as a film does lack for incisive commentary on the story of American success, and it may lack an overarching theme from which to propel the narrative much of the time, but I do think that as a collection of moments about how one man with gumption drove himself from near bankruptcy to possessing one of the greatest corporate empires on earth, it's never uninteresting, even without politicizing it into something worthy of debate. Kroc goes to a variety of communities to learn what they all have in common, the flags of government buildings and the crosses of the church, and he envisions the golden arches of McDonald's to be situated right along with those venerable symbols. In these times when we've elected a salesman to be the leader of the free world, perhaps these explorations are the commentary. These stories about how salesmen have become the heroes to admire, corporate logos have replaced our symbols of worship, and how those of us with family and community values are losers because we refuse to compromise a few core principles in exchange for almighty dollars. The Founder may not have a great deal to say about Ray Kroc one way or the other, but it does really speak volumes on who we've become as a people when money is the only attribute that matters. So I'm giving The Founder 3.5 stars out of 4. 3.5 stars on my scale means I do think this is a good movie, and I think that this is worth going out of your way to see if this at all sounds of interest to you. If you like Michael Keaton, if you like docudramas, or if you're just really interested in the beginnings of McDonald's, I do highly recommend it for you. Until next time, thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review, and just remember, please enjoy your time anytime you get to go to the movies.